So my name is John Franklin, oversee the Vision and Call Internship Program. And I have to my left here, Terry Stokesbury, the Senior Program Director, who has really brought this program to where it is today. And I'm privileged to be able to continue with it. And then Connor Peckham, who works in both our IT department and then as well as the enrichment program. So he's the one that's really operating the technology and has helped prepare this webinar. So as you can see, we've created this little chat box here. And if you have questions as we go, then feel free to type in your questions. We might not respond immediately, but we'll try to respond as the questions come in because they'll probably be relevant to whatever section that we're walking through. We'll also have time for you to add any other questions at the end. And then for those that might be watching this on a recording on the webinar, then if you have questions after watching this webinar, feel free to just contact us here at the Trust. And then correspondingly, if you that are live with us on the webinar right now, as you do the application, run into issues or problems or questions, feel free to contact us here as well. So I've already told Terry, because I want this to meet your needs, that if I've said something, misstated something, or if there's something missing, additional content, he's going to jump in here because we want to make sure that we give everything that you need in order to walk through this application process. So I don't think we'll use the full 90 minutes, but we've allowed that just really for the sake of questions because it's not going to take us that long to walk through the application process. So let's go ahead and get started just with some overview comments. You'll note in the email that we sent you that the deadline for submission of the application is September 13th. So that gives you plenty of time. You'll notice that when you work on the application, you can save your draft and go back to it. So you don't have to sit down and do it all at once. And then the other thing I would ask you too, because we do have a panel, for those that might not be familiar, we have a panel that reviews the applications so that we don't inundate them and bury them with applications on September 13th. It would be most helpful if as you finish your application, you really feel good about it, you're ready to submit it, go ahead and click submit, send it in so that we can, our panel members will have the opportunity to read these applications as they come in. So the other thing I want to mention to you, if you haven't already started the process, that link that came to you in the email, when you click on that link, that actually is going to allow you to register for the program. And then once you fill out that link, then at that point, there will be a full application dropped in your Flux Grants portal. And then you'll go back to that, and that's when you'll start the application process. So what you're going to see today is that we will demonstrate is already under the assumption that we have registered as the generic organization for this program, and then we're going into Flux to begin to fill out our application. So let me see any other initial comments I want to make. Yeah, when you're done with your proposal and you've saved it, then at that point, so let's just say you've already worked on this several different times, you've saved it each time, but when you're done, please remember to click the submit button. And that's what will actually send it to us, and then it'll be in our hands. So with that, anything you'd add before we start? Good. Connor, any other things? That's good. Let me take a drink of water here. We're going to go ahead and jump into the application. Again, as I said, if you have questions along the way, please type in the chat box there. So we're going to, we've assumed again that we've registered, and we're going to go straight to the application here.
What happens if they click super? So your request, once you register in your portal, it's going to be under this full application requested section on the left side of your portal. So once you click on that, you'll see that there's a Vision and Call draft application that's ready for you to start.
Okay, so this top section has organization information. And Connor, just to confirm here, this information would have been defaulted in as per when they registered. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. So as soon as you register, you're basically you're registering us, or you're registering your organization, and then any of kind of the main contacts listed here. So in the registration process, if you don't know, or if you don't give us the CEO, the project stakeholder, or the grants admin, they might not show up here. But once you kind of get into this section, you can click on the drop down, and anybody that's already in our system associated with your organization will show up here. And so you can kind of click through and you can add different people to these sections. And if there's not someone here, you can register them and get that information to us. If there's any issues with any of this section, feel free and give us a call, and we can help you out as well.
And one thing I want to mention to you, that where it says project director, shareholder, stakeholder, we'll mention this later, but that would be synonymous with your advisor, the person that's really going to be the point person for your Vision and Call program. And by the way, the other thing I want to comment here, I am applying right now online as if I was a new organization. But if you're a renewal organization, in other words, you've been in the program already for your first 2 years, your first 4 years. I see that Jeff King, for example, is on this webinar. Then I will reference, how you might respond to the same questions. And actually, it's a bit different application form for renewal organizations. So we'll continue on then. Okay, so the next section has to do with the preferred number of interns. And this is where you're going to give us your count for your requested number of interns for year 1, then year 2, and year 3. You can see that there's 3 types of interns. There's a summer internship full-time. There's a 9-month or a 12-month, well, actually typically 12-month full year internship part-time, and then a 12-month internship part-time. So, and just a couple things about the requesting of internships. You'll see down below we have the minimum number of interns. So the maximum number of interns an organization is able to request is 6 per year, or 12 over a 2-year period. And then the minimum number of interns an organization is able to request is 2 per year, or 4 interns over a 2-year period. So again, minimum number would be 2 interns per year, a total of 4 over 2 years, or 6 interns per year, a total of 12 over 2 years would be the total number of the maximum number of interns that an organization is able to request. See if there's anything else I wanted to add on that. Yeah, so my job leading this program is, once I receive all the requests and the dollar amount that's associated with your request, which I'll mention here in a little bit, I need to go ahead and balance the budget, the amount of money that the trustees have granted for this program. So there's a good chance that you will not get your preferred number of interns. In fact, if we base on past history, typically an organization might get somewhere between their preferred and minimum number of interns once we review the budget. Is that pretty accurate, Terry? So,
but the important thing when you do the top half is to remember that what we say in the program is you're going to build an internship program or expand on one you may already have that you will continue beyond the 6-year grant period. So that those numbers are really important, because if you say 6 each year, then we're assuming, if we award all 6, that that's what you will continue beyond the grant period. So it's really an important decision,
right,
how many you put in those boxes.
So you first-time applicants, when we come down to in a little bit, you'll see that the 6-year strategy is part of the exit strategy. You'll just operate on the presumption that you're going to ask for years 3 and 4, years 5 and 6, the number of interns that you started with. So for renewal organizations, then you'll just, rather than your year one, year two is actually going to be whatever cycle now you're now approaching. So Jeff King, for example, who the first 2 years of the program were what they just are finishing up, Jeff will really present the numbers for his current cycle, which is years 3 and 4. I think that's all what I would have to say about that. I'm just double checking here.
And then the total of 6 per year, it's a total. So if you say we want some part-time and full-time and we'd like 6 of each, that's too many. It's a total of 6.
Right.
So like 3 and 3 or something like that.
Correct. Okay, so let's move on. Oh, by the way, on the renewal organizations, if you're going to go up or down from what you requested in your prior cycle,
What they were given, not what they were requested.
what they're given, excuse me, what you had appropriated to you in the prior cycle, you'll need to call me and explain why. Because that would, it's a significant shift. And we understand that can happen where an organization might request less or might request more, but we just want to hear from you. Okay, so the next section is the finance section. And what we're going to do here is we're going to bypass this because you will not fill out this section until you actually fill out the worksheet. And you'll see what I mean in a little bit here that actually matches the dollars with the requested number of interns. So we'll just bypass this for right now and we'll go down to the next section, organizational information. This is really self-explanatory. This is where similar if you've ever filled out a request for a standard grant with the Murdoch Trust, this is where you include information like your mission statement, a summary of your programs, etc. Especially perhaps giving focus to areas of your organization that might come into play with your internships. So and you'll notice, by the way, that most of these sections have a limitation of characters. So you don't have to write a novel, but give us some substance there. Then we scroll down to the next section, the internship program description, which is really a significant and important section. This is where you're going to talk about what is distinct about your internship, and specifically, we're going to talk about how you will embed the 6 essentials of the Vision to Call program in your internships. Here's a brief summary of those 6 essentials, but one of the documents you received when we sent you the RFP was a little bit more description of each of the 6 essentials. I just need to tell you too that our panel, this is what they will review heavily and really measure and evaluate the potential effectiveness of your internship program, to what extent you are committed to and able to explain how you're going to embed these 6 principles. So if you're an organization that already has an internship program, then you need to build a case as to how you're going to incorporate these 6 essentials to enhance or make your internship program better. And now if you're an organization that's doing a renewal, so you've been in the program already for 2 or 4 years, you will answer this question a little bit differently. You'll actually tell us what you did do in this last cycle in terms of incorporating these 6 essentials, as well as what you might be doing differently, what you've learned and what you might be doing differently the next 2 years. So note that it says at the top there, a brief description. You'll have the opportunity also to go more in depth on these 6 essentials in a section I'll show you down below. Anything you'd add to that, Terry?
Right. We can never emphasize enough, the panel's a national panel. We don't publicize their names. We don't do that for any panel. And most of them will not know anything about your organization. And so this is crucial. This is what the panel will, in a sense, vote on and score. John doesn't score. Steve Moore doesn't score. Not even Connor gets to score. It's all up to what the panel reads here. So this is really important.
Okay, moving on to modifications requested.
They didn't appreciate my Connor joke. Oh, no, I can't hear him laugh.
They can hear you right now, though. So these are the typical modifications that, there's a token laugh there for you, Terry.
Thank you, Melissa.
These are the typical modifications that are sometimes requested. For example, the age of internships. I need to tell you that the sweet spot for our internships are really the young people that first year right out of college, sort of a gap year. But we've allowed younger students, and when I say younger, typically more like juniors or seniors in college. And we've even had individuals that are older than that first year out of college. But this is where you would need to explain that and build your case as to why this is important for your organization, how it's going to be effective. And then the other modification that is sometimes requested is the length of the internship. Because again, typically a summer internship is 10 weeks. So if it's going to be shorter or longer than that, you need to explain why, and build your case. And then typically our full-time internships are 12 months. But we've had some shorter, like 9 months. So if it's going to be shorter than the 12-month period, then again, build your case, explain why. That'd be the same for the part-time 12-month internships as well. But we have really stayed away, just to let you know from the outset, from internships that are less than 9 months. Anything you'd add to that, Terry? Okay, moving down to the evaluation process. This is basically where you're going to explain to us how you're going to evaluate your intern's performance. I mean, are you going to do, for example, just a year-end or internship ending period evaluation? Will you do it more like a midterm and then a end of the term, a quarterly, whatever? But how will you evaluate your intern's performance? What will you be evaluating? What do you wish to accomplish by speaking into their lives through the evaluation process? And this next one, these might seem similar, but they're really two different questions. The exit interview process. So we really want each intern to have the opportunity for an exit interview, for you to not only speak into their life, which is really important, obviously, as they go forward, but also for them to be able to speak into your internship, to give you some really honest feedback of what was great and what perhaps could have been better. And this is where you will explain to us how you'll use that information as well in terms of improving your program. And again, if you're a renewal organization, you'll tell us what you did for your exit interviews, just as, by the way, above, you would tell us what you did for your evaluation process and how you might do it differently. You'll tell us what you did for your exit interview process, what you might do differently this next 2 years, and what you learned from your exit interview process too. What are some of the nuggets you picked up that are going to impact your internship program going forward? Anything to add to that? Let's go down to the leadership team section. Again, some of this is really re-inputting what you had above when you register, but you'll put down your executive, your senior executive, whether that's your executive director, president, or CEO of the organization, with contact information. And then this is really important here, the senior organizational leaders who will invest some time in the interns. Because you'll note that one of our 6 essentials of the internship program is that your interns will have access to and time with senior leaders within the organization. So this is where you want to state who those individuals might be. They might be, for example, some folks that aren't necessarily listed in your organizational information that you put up prior, but who are those senior level type leaders within your organization that your interns will have access to and time with. And then lastly, this is where you're going to put the internship advisor. This will be our key point person of contact for your internship program. This is where, as I mentioned earlier, up in that first section under the registration process, this will be your project leader. A word about the advisor: it should be someone with experience within your organization. So again, not just a new person, certainly somebody where there's some separation in age from the interns. And in a multi-intern situation, the advisor won't necessarily be the one that will be doing all of the mentoring. It could be where you have a good number of interns that the mentors for the different interns are actually the supervisor. And sometimes interns will have more than one mentor as well. But the advisor is the quality control person. This is the person that is really making sure that the internship mentoring is going as planned, it's reflecting the 6 essentials, and we're doing the best possible job that we can with these interns. This is why it needs to be somebody that has some clout and some leadership in the organization that they can actually speak into and monitor the internships mentoring that's going on by the mentors. So if you're a renewal organization, and you're going to have a change in your advisor, you'll need to let us know that. Perhaps send us an email or give us a call. Let us know why you're changing and who this next advisor will be and why they will also be sufficient for the position. So anything you would add or change about that? Okay, so let's go on to the mentoring strategy. And this might look redundant to what we talked about earlier with the 6 essentials, but this is the opportunity for you to perhaps give us even some more information in terms of how you're going to specifically embed these 6 essentials into the mentoring process. One of the things I will mention for the new organizations, in addition to the fall intern retreat, which is that first weekend of October, the other commitment that you're making is to send your advisor to our April 30th. It's kind of like an in-service training day where we really want to build into the advisor one of these 6 essentials. And this last year we focused on the intentional conversations about vocation and calling. And then that advisor will be able to take home and reinstill those principles with the mentor. So we just want to continue to add value to your program through influencing your advisor over the 6-year process. So this is where you give us more substance on the mentoring process and how those 6 essentials will inform your mentoring of your interns.
This one is really important for organizations where your interns may be working in different departments. So, we've had a number of camps be in the program, and they may assign an intern to the outdoor crew or somebody else to the kitchen crew, somebody to marketing. So the question there is, so how will they be mentored by the marketing director or the person on the outdoor crew or whatever it might be? This is your chance to help us see that. And it's one reason we believe so strongly in mentoring cultures within an organization.
We have a question from somebody. Is this for new advisors or ongoing advisors? And again, I want to make sure I say this correctly. If you're referring to organizations, this is for organizations. We are presuming that we're filling out an application for new organizations, but it's also for renewal organizations.
Kate would be
with Street Youth Ministries. So she's a returning organization.
Hi, Kate.
Kate, can you give some clarification to your question?
The April date.
Oh, the April date. Okay, yeah. So the April date, April 30, that's for all advisors because it's going to be a different focus every year. Kate's referring to the April 30th advisor training. Yeah, we want the advisors, not just the new ones, but all organizations and all advisors. So again, I'll just mention here too, you're going to see for the renewal organizations on that mentoring question, it's going to similarly, the question will be, what did you do in terms of implementing that mentoring strategy and what might you do differently going forward? And also, I'm not sure if Terry mentioned this, but if you have a situation where it's multi-interns and the advisor is again acting as that quality control person, not necessarily doing all the mentoring themselves, it would be expected that on a perhaps a weekly or a bi-weekly or at the very least monthly regularity that the advisor is pulling all the interns together for a time, perhaps speaking into one of these 6 essentials or a time in the scriptures, but getting a good amount of time with those interns as a group and then also individually, just singling out and spending some time with them individually as well.
The typical expectation would be it would be the advisor in that setting that has the significant conversations around vocational direction more than each individual mentor.
That's good.
Because it's a wonderful group kind of exercise. But what's also, if you want to strengthen your mentoring strategy, let's say you have 4 interns and they're all in different departments. Every once in a while for the advisor to say, hey, on a quarterly basis, I'm going to bring these supervisors or mentors together to talk about how they're doing mentoring these people.
That's excellent.
So, there's all those things will help strengthen your ideal to the panel.
Yeah, good. Okay, the next section is the sustainability of the program. And this will get into the exit strategy that we'll show you in a little bit later. But again, this is how are you going to maintain the funding of the interns that you've been granted, like Terry mentioned. So, be careful in terms of the number of interns you request in starting this program, because that expectation will be on you going forward. Similarly, if you're a renewal organization and you want to request additional number of interns going forward, well, that raises the ante in terms of the sustainability expectation for you going forward. And it's not just sustaining the grant, the funding for the number of interns, but also continuing to sustain the same quality of internship program. How are you going to stay true to the things that you've learned and have embedded in your internship program through these 6 essentials going forward? So if you already have an internship program, then this is where you would need to explain clearly how you're going to continue to sustain the growth in the program, as well as those improvements in the program that you picked up during your time in the Vision and Call program. And let me say something about the financial sustainability, the ongoing number of interns. This is really considered a grant. So a failure to continue with the same number of internships would not be looked on favorably going forward. So you really do need to think through not only what you request, but your ability to sustain it going forward. Anything you'd add to that, Terry?
That's good. Well said.
Okay, so here we're now at the point where we're going to deviate from the actual application. We're going to click on a link down below, and this is the only link, by the way, of an outside document that's going to take us to the Vision and Call budget page. So Connor will click on that. And again, this is a worksheet, and after we're done here, like I said to you, we'll actually go in and you'll submit this. Will they submit this to a separate email? Because you upload it?
Upload it. Right here.
Yeah, okay, you upload it. Yeah, you'll upload this document into your application. And I'll walk you through this form. And if there's any questions on this, feel free to type it in because it might be a little bit confusing to you. This top section is where you're going to plug in the numbers for your preferred number of interns. I know before we had you do your preferred and minimum numbers, but you're just going to work with your preferred numbers here. So on the far left, those columns for full-time, part-time, and full-time year-round, full-time summer, part-time year-round, and then full-time year-round. That's where you're going to put your 2-year numbers there, okay? So if we're going to request a total of, the only interns we're requesting, for example, are we want four full-time internships year-round, 2 per year, and then you're going to put the number 4 in that first column there under full-time internships.
That's not what we talked about.
It's not? Go ahead and correct me then.
All right. So you need to look at these 3 columns. Go to the far right. That's where we want you to tell us for the entire 2-year period, we want 12 interns, right where Connor's got that icon. Now go to the left, and so that would be 6 and 6, right? Go to the left one more time. That's the number you want for just 1 year, okay? So you're going to say, hey, what we want is 6 full-time interns or 3 or whatever it is. And then you carry that number to year 1, year 2, and then the total in the 3rd year column over there. So that's the key.
Okay, good correction. Thank you. All right, so that's the top section. That just is dealing with the preferred number of interns. And then we go to the next section, which is going to essentially spell out Murdoch Trust cost share for your internships. So if you scroll up above there, Connor, 1 second, you'll see the dollar amount that's associated with each of the different levels of internships. So now we'll scroll back down. That's what you'll reference. So year 1, if you were requesting, for example, 2 full-time summer interns, and that's going to be, and this unfortunately doesn't do the math for you, but 2 full-time summer internships at $3,500 would be $7,000 is the number we go in there. And then similarly, you put in the year 2 number. We advise you at this point, wouldn't we, that they would use the same numbers for year 1, year 2, Terry?
Yeah, hold on. Can we fill this out as a month thing, Connor?
Download it first, I think.
Yeah, we tried to do this yesterday.
So ask me your question again, John, I'm sorry.
Yeah, my question was, oh, there we go. Okay. So when I said if they're requesting 2 full-time internships in year 1, that number obviously, full-time summer internships is going to be $7,000, 2 times 3,500. We're advising them, the new applicants as well as renewals, to use the same numbers for year 1, year 2, right? Yeah. Okay. So we just presume again we'd be at $7,000 year 2 for 2 full-time summer internships. And so that would also be 7,000 there. And let's just also say for kicks that we're going to request 1 full-time year-round internship, and that's going to be $16,000, $4,000 a quarter. It's actually going to be 16, right?
16, yeah.
16,000 for both year 1, year 2. And then we're gonna total it on the right side then. So it's $14,000 will be the total stipend amount for our full-time summer internships, and then full-time internships year-round would be $16,000
So
or $4,000 a quarter. Go
Can I
ahead.
interrupt you here?
Yeah.
So,
Excuse me, 32,000 be the total.
yeah,
Go ahead.
Connor's doing great here, trying to jump in on these things. This is part of what we're going to look at. This is how interesting it gets. We believe interns to have the most, the best experience they can have. They should never have to be the only intern. So in this model, which John just made up on the fly, okay?
Isolated
See,
one.
Yes, you'd have 2 summer interns, great, and then a full-time person all by themselves for most of the rest of the year. That would not be well thought of.
Okay.
So, but John's making it up as he goes along, so
actually,
don't be critical.
That's really good, Terry, because I was curious about that.
Yeah.
Because it's a total of no less than 2. But the point is, it's really actually no less than 2
Yeah.
during one period.
Yeah. So let's go, Lisa, I hope this is helpful to you. So Connor, go back up to the top. Let's give them 2 interns in each of those 3 categories for a year, okay?
Each of these.
Up above. So go 2. So you play the game with us here. Year 1 then would be 6. And year 2 would be 6. You see that? Is that helpful, Lisa?
Then 12 total. Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
And that's why the worksheet's down below, because they're going to be different amounts.
That's right. And then you can see how you would do your adjustments in that. So on your full-time internship, John said it earlier, it's $4,000 per quarter. We would expect a full-time intern to be at least 9 months, okay? So if it's 9 months, that number changes from 16 to 12 per intern.
And Terry, can you say something about the range for a part-time year-round internship, whether it's 9 or 12 months, is $600 to $700. So basically what we're saying there is they can choose. That's our
And it can
amount.
be a little bit less. It could be, we don't see it being more. The way we really envisioned this to begin with was almost like a work-study model at college. Doesn't have to be a college student. It's just that sort of a thought to say, hey, somebody's given a certain amount of time and we can pay them this much money, and that'll be up to you to, I wouldn't go over 700. We wouldn't allow that, but you could go 500. Again, think about your sustainability question over time.
We also should point out too that these are what the Murdoch Trust will grant in terms of stipends. You can always pay your interns more, but those additional funds would come from your budget, and you'll see that down below actually. So, and then the intern program management, we're willing.
So no, let's finish this.
Okay.
So year 1 is 7,000. Let's say you're going to pay 700 a month, okay, for your part-time people, and it's going to be for 12 months. So that's 84 times
8,400.
2,
16,800.
okay. Lisa, I'm going to pick on you. Do you see how we got on that number? And then the next number ought to be 32. Okay.
assumption that a full-time summer would be the same person over 2 years.
No,
Yeah, no, so good.
that's not a good one.
This question, could a full-time summer intern be the same person over 2 years? No, these are one-year internships.
The summer is.
Yeah, the summer. And really, we see the same way for the 9-month or the 12-month. There are some exceptions we've made on the full year internship in terms of somebody coming back, but that's typically with an organization perhaps that has operated in the past with 2-year internships for the year-round people.
I think it's 55.8 is the total of those three numbers. Isn't it 7,000 plus?
Yeah, so
16?
that doesn't preclude you on a summer internship from inviting somebody back for a second year, but that second year would be your funding, and then we would want our funding to go to a new intern
On the summer
on
especially.
the summer especially. Okay. Still figuring out the math here.
Well, I think it's 55.8. And the point is, and that's, now you're getting your management thing, it's 10%.
Right.
So if it's 55.8, then it's $5,800 there. Or something like that. 5,580.
I'm going to let Terry explain here. Now we get to this bottom section. Again, this is the Murdoch cost share. And he can.
So I've got my cell phone out. Lisa, this is great. Thanks for asking us to do all this extra work. I'm adding the 7,000 plus the 16.8. That's 23.8 plus the 32. That gets to 55.8. So 10% of that under the intern program management fee would be then $5,580.
They'd also put down the year 1, year 2 amount on that.
Yeah. So
And then-
in each year.
Okay, so this is, again,
Did somebody do the math? Am I correct?
we would provide 10% of your total stipend amount each year towards a program management fund for you. And Terry, can you mention some of the ways that maybe they've used that program management fund?
You bet. So people have used it to help underwrite the costs of the advisor. Some people have used it to pay for an extra
I
training.
found this on the web.
That's my Siri. I didn't mean to do that. I was just trying to turn my phone off. Some have used it to help just underwrite a little extra tax kind of issues that may come up that they want to take care of. So really, it's got to be in the spirit of this proposal. You can't use it for something outside of this, but anything that would be helpful to you here, it could be used for that. So it's really a pretty wide open idea.
Hey, Terry, you see Lisa's question there that their
Yeah.
year-round internships have been 11 months. Would they just take that $16,000 figure and
Yeah, just
divide by 11 and do the math?
Yep. That's exactly right.
Okay. So
Yeah, way to make it tough, Lisa.
So if we're done with questions on this top section here, the budget, the Murdoch Trust cost share. Oh, by the way, really importantly, if you're a renewal organization, then the Murdoch Trust cost share in year 2 is going to be 67%. So you would do the math for year 1, but then you're going to actually, rather than putting that full amount, you'll put down 67%. And then if this is you're renewing in years 5 and 6, you'd put down 33% for the Murdoch Trust cost share on those items. The intern program management would still be 10% of that total amount, right?
Mhm.
Of the whatever 67% or 33% is.
And notice in the section Connor just filled out called budget items, Murdoch Trust share, under organization, it says none. If you get the renewal application, there's a box there for you to say how much your share is.
Right. So
Okay.
if on
Does that make sense if you're a renewal?
year 2, a renewal, I mean, years 3 and 4, the Murdoch Trust cost share would be 67% of the stipend cost. And then obviously the organization is going to be that other 33%. Then it moves to 33% Murdoch, 67% organization in years 5 and 6. And then like we referred to earlier with the sustainability, years 7 and 8 and ongoing, it will be 100% the organization picking up the stipend cost. Okay, so let's move down to this middle section, which is budget items organization share. these are going to be, and by the way, we would expect that you would have some costs in this section because in order to run an effective program like we're talking about, there's going to require some additional funding than we're providing for you. So again, the same kind of deal, you're going to fill out your numbers for year 1, year 2, year 3. But the first item there, estimated soft costs, this would be on top of the soft costs, that 10% that you're budgeting above. It could be your costs for supervision, your staff that are providing the mentoring, their staff time, administrative costs of administrating your internship program, or anything else that might be related to supervision or administration. And then that middle section would be additional training that you might provide for your interns, other than what we're providing in that weekend intern training time, that conference, first weekend of October. This would be also, though, where you might include in your budget the cost of travel to the Vision and Call retreat in October, because we do cover the cost of the retreat itself for not only your interns, but for you, the advisor, but you're responsible for your travel. So this would logically be the place where you would capture that cost. And
Some have used the intern program management fee to help cover the cost of travel, especially if you're in the east, back east or something like that.
And then the last one, also, I want to jump back to that. You said that they could appropriate our 10% towards their travel.
It's really a general fee to help in any way
However you want to.
imaginable, as
Okay.
long as it's in the context of this.
Yeah, that's a good
project.
catch. Okay, thank you. And then again, below would be any ministry program or events that that you might add as an addition to your training of your interns. Anything else you'd say about that section, Terry? So the last section down below, this would be, we wouldn't necessarily expect there to be numbers in this section. That's why we call it optional. But let me just reference what they are. You remember I said
Hold
earlier,
on one second. Do you see Eve's question?
what was the question? What about travel to a leadership conference?
Oh, no, it was the one, the partners one. Do you add only incremental costs on supervision? You want me to take that?
Go ahead.
What we're trying to do there is, we know that your advisor is a current staff person that you're going to ask to do some extra work for this. So let's say you feel like, hey, this woman is going to spend 10% of her time, and that's what you would put in there, something like that. It helps us see that you get it, okay? That you understand that to really run a great internship program, it does take time and effort and intentionality. And that's what we're trying to give you a chance to help us understand you get that. Now, obviously, we're not paying for any of it. And if somebody puts nothing there, we're curious. But if somebody also says they put a full-time salary there, we're kind of curious about that too. But we know it takes time and effort. That's what we're looking for. It's your chance to kind of spice up your proposal to help us see those things.
So this next question, what about travel to a leadership conference or some type of national meeting with senior leader mentor? First of all, I really like that question. That would be really in keeping with what we're trying to do in terms of giving this intern exposure to something like a national meeting or leadership conference, especially if they're traveling with a senior leader type individual. Obviously, if you're referring to your cost share in that second section, then that's totally up to you. I'm thinking maybe is that question related to using some of our 10% towards that? Terry, could they use part of our 10%?
Yes, they could. Again, that 10% can be used in many ways, but understand this too. It's really a great question. If you put it and say, no, we'll pay for that, and it goes into your training program, again, that's a huge feather in your cap.
Yeah.
And that's what John's trying to say. But it is eligible out of that money too. But just know it's $5,500 in this case. It's a nice amount of money, but it isn't that much to do those things with.
So this last section here, like I said, you may not have any information here, but would be like, for example, if you have decided that you actually want to pay your interns more than the stipend we're providing, then that's where you would put that additional funding for stipends. And some organizations have done that, by the way. So you just need to know that. If you're going to provide housing, then this would be the cost of the housing that you provide. This is true often for organizations where colleges that have worked with us that might, or camps. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, where you would put that amount in their tuition, and maybe there'd be, again, oftentimes this is connected to colleges that have been in the program, would provide a tuition discount for their interns, or anything else that you'd want to budget for on additional optional budgeted items. And you'll total that out as well. Anything else on that? Mm-hmm. So we're going to scroll down below now to the exit strategy. And this is super important because this is really putting the dollar amounts to your strategy to sustain your program long term. So that's the purpose of this section, to show how you've thought through, as our dollars go down, your dollars increase. And you know, as we mentioned to you, you'll want to put, in terms of the grant cycle, up top the number of interns. At this point, I would just presume that you're going to have the same number of interns each year. And these numbers will really be reflected of the ones you had up above there. And then under intern stipends, same kind of deal. You'll put in the number of interns per stipend. Actually, that's the stipend amount, isn't it? So that's where they're going to put in the dollar amounts that we figured out up above there. So the year one is no sweat, but again, year two for a new organization, just like our renewal organizations are doing, you're going to have to factor in years 3 and 4 will provide 67%. You're going to provide 33%, and then years 5 and 6 will provide 33%, and you'll provide the 67% of the cost of the stipends. And then you'll total that those 3 years on the far right, your share and our share. And then the 10% cost share goes down below there as well, obviously. So then the next section, this is the budgeted items organization share, as I said, where we would anticipate there'd be some of your costs involved there. No Murdoch money, obviously. But again, you're going to show us how you're going to sustain that as well. So you'll just roll those numbers across for each of the 2 years with the 6-year totals, and then similarly the optional budget items down below. So that completes the exit strategy page, which this is really kind of like almost like your feasibility study. I mean, I could even see, like, as an organization, after filling this out, it might prompt you to go back maybe and either tweak a little bit down your requested interns, or maybe increase, because you realize, well, actually we can probably be a little bit more aggressive. But this is really an important page to help you and help us understand your ability to sustain this project going forward. Anything you'd add, Terry? So now that we've filled this out, we're going to be ready actually to bounce back to the application and fill in the numbers. Let's see, are there?
This is where you would upload that PDF that we just filled out. So you just click on this box and just kind of drag it here, and it'll upload and attach to this application.
And before I talk about putting in this information, so we just talked about uploading the worksheet, and now we'll go put in the monetary numbers. You see Melissa's question there. Are there any other red flags? I assume maybe she's talking about filling out the budget form, actually the application area.
Melissa, because you're a renewal, I just would tell you, the panel will be looking at yours and every other renewal with those 6 principles in mind, saying, did they demonstrate fidelity to those principles? Because you're telling us what you actually did do, not what you're proposing to do. So that's what they're going to look closely at. And for the new organizations, it is a score they might get with a point something or whatever, right? It's a very intricate, wonderful process. With the renewals, it's a yes or no. Did they demonstrate fidelity? And if a panel member says, no, look at, they did this and this. And if we've had any problem with renewals is they cut it short. They don't tell us their whole story. They just try to abbreviate it. It's not an automatic, and they're going to look for fidelity to those 6 principles.
one of the values that we have at the trust here is being a learning organization. So we want to also say here that we really invite you to be honest and say, hey, here's a couple of things that we learned last 2 years that we're going to do differently going forward. So that's important too. We don't necessarily expect you're going to just nail it out of the gate your first 2 years. All right, so back here under the finance section, you're now going to be able to, and this will come off of that first table up above, you're going to put in the total amount of the request to the Murdoch Trust over the 2 years. And then this dollar amount down below will be the total budget for all three of those tables. Correct?
But just for the current cycle.
Current cycle.
For
So
the,
if they're in cycle 1, it's not the
it's
6
for
year.
it's for the 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So for a new organization, it'll be your first 2 years, and then for the renewal organizations, it's going to be for your current cycle that you're applying for.
Yeah. Some organizations here have said, oh, I'll just put in the numbers for all 6 years, which that makes sense. That's not what we're looking for. We're just looking for the current cycle you're applying for.
Because that's what this request is for, is for the next 2 years. Okay, so we've walked through it, and we just want to allow some time here for you.
The organization document section 2.
Oh, this is the other.
So there's just one more organization documents section.
Right.
So the majority of you, you'll designate that you're a 501c3, and then that'll prompt you to just upload these 2 documents. If you've applied for other grants in flux already, for other projects, those documents might already show in this document section. But if you get the prompts to upload these, you'll need to upload those as well.
So if we do have influx those 2 documents already, then there won't be the prompt, there won't be the plus sign there.
They'll already show.
Okay,
Yep.
got it. And then you want to scroll down and show where do we see the submit button down below, or the save? That's down below. So save, again, you can walk away from it and save your document. And then finally, when you're done, you'll submit. So let's pause here. Again, this is all recorded.
So look at Melissa's last question. Can we submit an intern's portfolio?
Can we submit, is that like their
Ask her.
their resume or?
I don't think resume. I think it's what they did. This is what these interns did this last year. I think that's what she
Yeah,
said.
Melissa, we just want some clarity on what you mean by that. To demonstrate fidelity to the 6 essentials.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I think that'd be great, Melissa. Anything we can see to help on that is fantastic.
If we are a renewal organization and have experienced a larger number of interns than first applied for, can we increase our request for cycle 2? Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Again, it's really critical though that you understand that just raises the expectation in terms of what you're going to be sustaining going forward. And you'll definitely need to build your case as to why you're requesting more with this next application.
Yes. And a couple of rationales would be, Lisa, thank you for the question. One is, let's say you ask for 6 interns each year. And as John said, and then your minimum number was 3, and we gave you 4 per year. And it's gone so well, you're saying we still would like to get to 6, and we think we've kind of shown that we can handle that, then that makes sense. And you, again, clear that with John. And then the other one would be is, hey, we asked for 2 per year to be conservative, but it's gone great. We're shocked how many people want to do this with us. We'd like to increase it to 4 because of the demand, and are willing to maintain it at 4 beyond the grant period. Those would be a couple of the reasons. But again, we've got to see that coming, because we do have a budget that John's got to fit all this in.
So that would be either a phone call or an email to me prior to submitting your proposal, or as you submit your proposal, so I've got a heads up on that.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
There was a question early on that was just saying, if you already are in flux, do you need to go in and go through the registration process?
That's a good question.
And so, yeah, I'll just clarify that. So the registration link that you were sent in your email, that is going to be the trigger that actually creates the new Vision and Call application that's going to be put into your portal. So even if you already have access into Flux and you're already in there working on other grants or following other projects, that link that you were sent, that's going to be the process that you'll just click on that once, you'll fill out the registration, and that's going to be what triggers a new draft application for Vision and Call.
Any tips, Terry, I'm gonna throw this to you. Any tips on the organization impact section or the transition narrative?
Trish, those are also really good questions. And the first one, the organizational impact, it's about nuance here, because all of us would understand that anytime you bring a group of young people into an organization, there's going to be a wonderful impact. Okay, but that's what you're gonna want to talk about at some point. What we're not looking for here, by the way, is that it's going to fill out our staff. They're going to take on because our panel will not like that. Our panel will say, why aren't they hiring part-time staff or full-time staff? But what impact do you think a group of interns will have on the vitality, the freshness, kind of the excitement of the organization? And that doesn't need to be a long explanation, just something there. The transition one's really important. So when we begin to talk about this idea of vocational conversation and vocational direction, okay, and one of the things that we would expect that any intern that comes to work for your organization has a strong interest in the kind of work you do. That's what we call that come and see idea that is based on the come and see pedagogy and the Gospel of John. The idea there is that you cannot hire every intern. We don't expect that. We wish you could, and we wish they were all that quality, but that's a lot to take on. So as you, I see Andrea's name up here. So if this is the Andrea, I know she directs a camp. And so you bring somebody on that's got this strong interest in camps, but you just simply cannot hire the person. So is there a transition that says, hey, let me help you make contacts with these other camp people I know? That you're basically helping the intern take their next step after they've given you a year of their life at a very reduced rate.
And we've also seen this too. This is kind of coming at it a little bit differently. Let's say you're an organization that desperately hopes that you're going to be able to hire some of your interns. In fact, you might even have capacity to hire them all. But during the course of the internship, you know that there's at least one or two of them that really have discovered that their interest lies elsewhere. So because this is a vocational internship, we really want you to see that it's incumbent on you as part of this program, and then this is also an enhancement to your program, that you would really step up to help them explore that other interest. And this is where that 6 of the essentials, giving them exposure to the greater, I can't remember the exact wording, but the greater world of nonprofits, where you would make connections for them so that perhaps at the end of their internship and transitioning out, they've already got kind of a leg up in terms of what they've discovered to be their vocational interest. So how would you advise the balancing the vitality of the organization that an intern can have on an organization and benefit they'll receive personally with ensuring that they have vital work to complete to achieve the mission of the organization? I'll let you respond to that from your experience as well, Terry.
Well, again, to our friends at Partners, an incredibly important question. The way we say it philosophically is we would expect that an intern would be a benefit to an organization, but would also benefit equally from the experience. It isn't just a resume builder. It is the opportunity to engage in a very meaningful task for the time period, and to have those unique conversations around vocational direction and their own ideas of life. And so the only way to ensure that it is happening is the intentionality of those conversations. John, I know, talked about this at the training last time. That idea, the mentoring conversations, those vocational directional conversation, has been the most difficult and challenging part of this program for organizations from day one. And it's one of the reasons why John is pushing hard on that side of things. But it's also, when I've read different evaluations from different interns, it can be the most meaningful part to them, because somebody takes this incredible personal interest in who they are as a person, what their heart is saying, what their purpose in life might be, and giving them an opportunity to have conversations around that on a fairly consistent basis can be really life-changing.
And I would just say too, just I speak from personal experience, that I was one of the organizations that was in the pilot for the Vision and Call when I was in the nonprofit world. We already had an embedded internship program, but where our enhancement was and what our learning was from this Vision and Call program and the 6 Essentials is it became not just organizational centric, but also intern centric in terms of realizing that, you know, whatever happens with their future with us, you know, we're really stepping up to make this 2 years will be significant in terms of their own vocational direction and calling in life. So we've really got to speak into that. We are new to this. We're grateful for the funding levels, probably not attract the interns that we want. We have a high cost of living area, so we'll look to be at 35-50% organizational funding from year one. Is this what others are thinking? So what you're saying is that the stipend amount that we're providing will leave quite a gap, even in year one when we're providing 100%. And we've run into this with certain organizations. That's why we are allowing you to go ahead and increase the stipend. It's just that our funding does have a limit. So, and that's where you would put that dollar amount down at the bottom. This is different depending, obviously, as you know, where an organization is located. Some organizations in expensive areas have thought through creative means in terms of housing, but we're aware that a fair amount of the organizations will need to supplement our stipend amount.
Oh, yeah.
But you can certainly circle back with us, even if today, if there's additional questions you didn't think of asking today or you didn't have the opportunity to. But again, as I mentioned, if while you're filling out this application, you stumble into a question, please feel free to reach out to us. Again, those that are watching the recording of this webinar, feel free to reach out with your questions. That application due date again was September 13th. Please do submit it as you get it done. We're really looking forward to reviewing these. We will get back to you, by the way, we didn't mention this earlier, to let you know whether or not you've been accepted in the program or if you're renewing, if you're being invited to continue on in the program after our November grants meeting, which I believe is November 22. Does that sound right? So
Thursday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thursday before Thanksgiving. When we hear from our trustees, then we'll circle back with the organizations and let them know what their decision was. So thanks again for joining us, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.